back with another pen review, taking a look at the Pitt Artist Pens by Faber Castell. Hi everybody, thank you for joining me today. Today I'm back with another pen review. We are looking at the Faber Castell Pitt Artist Pens, the brush pens. These have been sitting on my desk probably for the last year. And I'm always curious. A lot of my friends in the journaling and lettering community use these. And so I've always been curious, but I've never really had a chance to take a look at them. So I finally decided that I was going to take the plunge and see what these guys are about. So the sets are about $20, which if you consider you only get 6 pens, that gets kind of expensive. I did start buying them separately as well, but even that you're looking at about, I think about $4 per pen. I got it on a buy one get one sale, so I was able to get some. I have some thoughts about buying them individually, but we'll get to that in a minute. So these pens aren't really comparable to the brush pens we've looked at so far, and that is because it's a different formula. So this is an India ink, and that means that it's waterproof. The other pens we've looked at have all been water-based pens, and so the difference between India ink is that it's a pigment that's dissolved in like a glue almost, or a binding agent, and so that's what makes it waterproof, and therefore not really as comparable to the Tombos and the stuff like that that I was expecting to do. So this review is going to be a little bit different. We're still going to test it out and see what we can do with it in terms of our blending, but these are definitely different. They are fun to use. They are extremely light fast, odorless, acid-free, pH neutral, and available in 58 colors. Like I said, they are expensive. The tip is different to what we're used to. That is the tip you see there. And the way the tip works, it doesn't splay out like a regular water brush pen. Instead, it is kind of, the whole tip bends. I don't know how to describe it properly. The whole tip bends down, and as you curve out, that's where you get your thin line. These pens are extremely pigmented. They're comfortable to hold. The caps fit on the end, which is great. You also have the color that the pen is on the back of your tip, which is fantastic. Because Faber Castell make a whole bunch of pens, you've got your B on the back or your B on the tip as well, just to let you know that it's a brush pen. So that's kind of cool when you're working fast, and if you're a Faber Castell fan, you're going to be able to grab that very quickly. As you can see here, they have a really good color variety. Like the box says, there's 52. I'm a completionist, so I kind of like the idea of having all 52. But my experience with these pens, I don't know where they fit into my collection, if you will. And we'll do the testing and the swatching, and we'll get there. They are fun. The colors, I don't know, I don't feel like the colors on the barrel represent the color of the pen in all circumstances. In most they do, but in some they don't, and you'll see. We'll swatch what I have and we'll take a closer look and see. They are easy to hand letter with. They were surprisingly easy to hand letter with. I thought the tips were going to be problematic, but I found that they are easier to use than they look. In my previous example where I try to show you what the tip was like, it's just natural. I don't know. It's easier to control, and I think that's because of the way that the tip is lined up. So I'm gonna carry on with my regular review. Like I said, we're going to cut out the water brush pen. We'll use it to see what it does, but it's not gonna do anything, but we'll take a look and see, and we'll play and go from there. So I'm using my Archer & Olive 160 GSM notepad. The reason why I'm using this notepad is because this is where I'm going to use my pens. Always swatch your pen on the paper that you plan on using. So if you're in a Leuchtturm or a Moleskine, you're going to want to swatch on that paper to know what it's going to look like on your paper. I use 160 GSM Archer and Olive notebook, so I test out on this paper to see how it's going to work. So I mentioned that I had some thoughts on buying them separately, and I think this is less commentary on the brand and more so where I bought them. But buying them individually, I found that I had to activate the ink a little bit. So what I did was I tried to shake it up. Some of them shook up, some of them didn't. And then I just kept bending the tip and trying to get the ink out and spread the ink around the tip. And I found that worked. The pens that came out of the pack were a lot better in terms of ink flow and ready to use. So that's just my experience. Again, possibly not a brand thing. Could be just where I bought it and how they were stored prior to me buying it. So I just wanted to put that out there because I mentioned it. So here we have the ice blue in 148, and we have the Edanthrine blue in 247. I do like that the pen names and the numbers are on the pen barrels because it's just easier to find what you need. Again, I've already done a little bit of the swatching for you. Really pretty. It's got that natural gradient, which I really like. This is the dark blue. So this is kind of what I'm talking about. Again, I don't want to say that's part of the brand. It might be part of just where I bought it. So I'll get a pen that works. Okay, so we have olive green in 167, and we have chromium green opaque in 174. Very pigmented, like the light is reflecting off of it, and it's kind of hard to see, and that's because the ink is just so beautiful. So we're going to try blending. I'm not going to do tip to tip because they're probably not self-cleaning and I don't want to ruin them. So we're actually going to try blending just on the page. Okay, so that's really pretty, but I definitely used too much. These pens with this tip is so easy to use. I initially didn't like the tip at all, but actually the more I use it, the more I like it. And you can just add to the color too, which is kind of great. So you can add your shadows when you're coloring in. So that actually blended really well. And again, that was blending on the paper. For bleed through, we have some ghosting, but no bleed through, which is pretty fantastic. I'm liking these pens more and more. I did do some testing to make sure they worked, and so I have spent some time with these. We can try doing the pickup method, see what happens. This is the olive, this is the, I forget which one's the darker one. Okay, so this is really pretty. I actually am really enjoying these. So the pickup method works great and the tip's coming clean, which is fantastic. And then just for kicks, it says they're waterproof. So let's put that to the test. I'm just going to dry this off a little bit. So that is really pretty. I really like that. So blending into each other, it goes really, really well, but blending it outside of itself doesn't work. So I don't know if you see that, but together, that is beautiful. I love it. But it's not spread out like the Tombos do, right? Like it's not watercolor, it's not water based, but it does blend into each other. That is really cool. So I'm not gonna lie to you, I kind of went into this review not liking them very much, but I'm leaving this review absolutely smitten with them. I'm blown away. I don't know if you can tell by the hesitation in my voice. So I guess I will be growing my Pitt Artist Pen collection. I'm going to do some swatching for you that you can see. This will be my first set of India ink pens. I don't actually have a lot of India ink products. I honestly don't know that much about it other than what I read for this review. I don't feel it's fair to compare it to the pens we've looked at so far because it's a different formula in the pen barrel itself. India ink, you can use it for kind of like a watercolor painting like I did there. I have seen other artists use it in this capacity or with calligraphy. So I am really, really, really impressed with these pens. I'm not going to be, like I said, sorry, I'm not going to be putting them on our comparison chart because they are a different formula. But overall, other than the price, I would say these are really cool and really fun to work with. Like when I tell you they are easy to maneuver, I really mean it, which honestly shocks me because of how this tip works. So let me grab, this is your Tombow versus your Pitt Artist Pen. Like it takes less mental effort to lift the pen to get that thinner line than it does with the Tombow. I don't know if that makes sense or if that's a good description for you. Again, not comparing the formulas at all, just comparing how the tip of the pen works. Same with the Fudenosuke. I find with the Fudenosuke I have to go very slow and keep in mind not to lift my tip too much. So it takes a lot more concentration and mental effort versus with these guys, I don't know, it just feels more natural to me. I hope I'm explaining this properly. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I would recommend this pen, not as a beginner, but definitely if you want to start exploring with different formula types and different pens. These I think are a great hybrid between the alcohol inks and the watercolor inks, to be honest, and these tend more toward the watercolor inks, or in my mind these work more like the watercolor inks because we added water and we saw that gradient, versus the alcohol inks you have to blend an alcohol pen with an alcohol pen. I am rambling now, I apologize. Strongly recommend, not necessarily for beginners, but definitely if you're wanting to explore. The watercolor pens, brush pens, I find to be more versatile and you're able to get more out of it. These guys are fun but expensive, so that's where I'm landing on that. I hope you enjoyed today's review. I'm going to be swatching what I have, and I'm probably gonna get some more because they're super fun. Thank you so much for watching today. If you want to see more pen reviews, you can check out the list I've provided below, and also on the blog I have a chart comparing them all. Again, you won't find these on there, but the rest of the pens, the rest of the watercolor pens that I've looked at will be on there. Thank you so much for watching today. So before we get to the swatching, I did want to come back quickly. Turns out that you need to store these horizontally, and I definitely was not storing them horizontally. So it's definitely not the pen, it's definitely not the brand, it's definitely not where I bought it from. Now I'm extra glad I didn't mention where I bought it from. It was user error. These have been stored upright for almost a year now. So these store horizontally. Very, very, very important that you do that. So the other thing I wanted to comment on quickly, the naming convention, the number and the color, I don't know if it quite makes sense to me. Like I said, I want to grow my collection, so maybe once that collection expands, it'll be different. But for right now, the naming convention's a little odd, and you'll see when I do my swatching. But otherwise, I hope you enjoy the swatching. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you in the next one.